Good to be with you from the Middle East tonight. I'm Tony DeCopel in Amman, Jordan. The breaking news right now. War with Iran strikes inside the country tonight, hitting residential neighborhoods. Massive plumes of smoke blasts inside the capital of Tehran as the U.S. and Israel continue their barrage. President Trump saying today another, quote, big wave of attacks is yet to come, calling this the last best chance to destroy Iranian missile and nuclear threats. What the president is saying about timing and tenacity and potential boots on the ground.
They said, oh, well, if the president wants to do it really quickly. After that, he'll get bored. I don't get bored.
At least 6 U.S. service members killed in the last 48 hours as the war widens tonight throughout the region. And the new images today of an American F-15 falling from the sky after a friendly fire incident. Also developing tonight, questions about what will happen with oil and gas prices. And the other big story today, has the war come home? A possible terrorist attack in Austin, Texas. The gunman killing 2, wounding 14 others. Why what he was wearing has authorities alarmed. Plus, in other news, for the first time tonight, we're seeing video of Bill and Hillary Clinton's testimony under oath as part of the Epstein investigation. And a United Airlines flight makes an emergency landing in Los Angeles after the engine catches fire.
This is the CBS Evening News with Tony DeCopel, reporting tonight from Amman, Jordan.
And good evening from a region at war tonight. The latest sign just moments ago as we saw missiles streak across the sky behind me, appearing to head from Iran toward Israel. And earlier this evening, the U.S. Embassy very close to us here in Amman, Jordan, was evacuated because of an unnamed threat. All of it coming as the State Department is urging Americans in 14 different countries to get out now. And all of it part of a long-feared battle that exploded over the weekend. For 3 days now, missiles have been flying overhead with Iran's counterattacks landing in countries throughout the Gulf, hoping to pressure the U.S. and Israel to slow their assault. But with more U.S. soldiers headed to the region tonight, President Trump is saying the biggest wave of fighting is yet to come. We have a team of correspondents across the Middle East and at the White House covering every angle of this, including possible threats back home. But first, what we know about the war right now. For a third day now, U.S. and Israeli forces are pounding Iran, striking more than 1,000 targets across the country since Saturday, including key government and military buildings in the capital.
We have the strongest and most powerful by far military in the world, and we will easily prevail.
But President Trump warning this fight could last a month or more, not ruling out a U.S. ground operation before it's over. The question tonight, though, what's the end game and who will take over in Iran after more than 40 of the country's most senior leaders were killed in the first minutes of the war? For now, the regime's military fighting back hard, firing missiles and launching drones at least 11 countries, among them Israel and Kuwait, where an Iranian weapon tore through a U.S. operations center, killing 6 American troops. 3 U.S. F-15 fighter jets shot down by Kuwait in what's been described as a friendly fire incident. All 6 aircrew ejected safely, this pilot even appearing to smile as she brushed herself off. Commercial flights in the region, meanwhile, have become near non-existent. Thousands stranded, among them U.S. citizens.
They sent massive alerts on everyone's phones, those alerts you get, saying shelter in place, incoming missiles may be coming, stay away from windows. And that was the most jarring thing.
And jarring is a good description for what a lot of people are experiencing across this entire region. Let's go to Chief Correspondent Matt Gutman. He's in Tel Aviv, Israel for us tonight, where air raid sirens have been going off. Matt, good evening.
And Tony, good evening. What we're seeing is arguably the largest ever conflict in the Middle East, with 11 countries that have been hit by Iranian missiles or drones. That, as Israeli officials tell me, that they believe that Iran still has about 2,500 ballistic missiles, which the U.S. and Israel are systematically working to destroy.
Explosions and columns of smoke and fire across Iran. Evidence of an unrelenting campaign by the U.S. and Israel, now in its third devastating day. The initial assault Saturday morning was quick and deadly, taking out Iran's leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and dozens of senior officials. It was followed by constant waves of strikes coming from U.S. fighter jets, taking off from aircraft carriers and Tomahawk cruise missiles, degrading Iran's ability to launch ballistic missiles. But over 500 people have been killed, according to the Red Crescent, including at a girls' elementary school, where Iranian state media claimed more than 100 children were killed. Iran lashing out across the Middle East. Several U.S. military facilities in the region have already been hit, including in Kuwait, where 6 U.S. service members were killed over the weekend. Today, President Trump honored them.
In their memory, we continue this mission with ferocious, unyielding resolve to crush the threat this terrorist regime poses to the American people.
Iran also indiscriminately targeting civilian sites.
Oh my God.
A hotel in Dubai, this apartment building in Bahrain, and in Israel, a direct hit near Jerusalem. This neighborhood leveled.
It pulverized the concrete into something like this, but among the effects, you can see combs, Pokemon cards, and family pictures.
Dozens were wounded and 9 were killed in the attack, including a mother and her son buried together today.
I see the mother and the baby on the floor. She's doing like this, and the little boy, a lot of blood in his face. He's 4 years old.
And despite those sirens tonight, Tony, we have seen notably fewer missile barrages today. And Israeli officials tell me there are likely 2 reasons for that. First, they have destroyed most of those missile launchers in Iran, about half of them so far. But also, that Iran has been listening to President Trump talk about a 4 or 5 week war, and they are conserving their stockpiles. Tony.
All right, Matt, thank you very much. President Trump has said this war is about making the world safer by, among other things, eliminating the threat of an Iranian nuclear program. And tonight we're getting a fuller picture of what the U.S. and Israel have accomplished so far. CBS News senior national security correspondent Charlie D'Agata is in Tel Aviv also with more on this. Charlie, good evening.
Good evening to you, Tony. So the air campaign we're seeing is being described as the most intense since the first Gulf War over 3 decades ago. And the Pentagon said today the U.S. is surging more forces to the region. The U.S. and Israeli militaries have carried out more than 1,000 strikes in the last 3 days, including army bases, warships, and missile launchers.
We're hitting them surgically, overwhelmingly, and unapologetically.
But 3 F-15s were also shot down. Friendly fire by Kuwaiti air defense systems spiraling out of control in the skies above Kuwait. U.S. officials say all 6 crews survived without serious injuries, one seen recovering in the back of a car, another walked away. The most high-profile target of the campaign taken out Saturday, the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei.
As dawn crept up across the Central Command AOR, the skies surged to life. More than 100 aircraft launched from land, sea, fighters, tankers, airborne early warning, electronic attack, bombers from the states, and unmanned platforms, forming a single synchronized wave. This was a daylight strike based on a trigger event conducted by the Israeli Defense Forces, enabled by the U.S. intelligence community.
The Financial Times reported Israel's intelligence agency, Mossad, hacked into Tehran's traffic cameras to watch the movements of the supreme leader. CBS News has learned the CIA was also watching and had been following Khamenei until he appeared at a meeting with advisors Saturday morning. It would be his last.
Secretary Hegseth gave no indication of an exit plan and didn't rule out putting U.S. boots on the ground. But there are also questions about how long the U.S. can sustain this assault, as there's no endless supply of munitions. Tony?
We're watching all of it. Charlie, thank you very much. Another wild card in this war is American politics. Many Democrats, some Republicans, and a huge majority of everyday Americans, according to polls, do not agree with this weekend's surprise strikes on Iran. Nancy Cordes has the latest from the White House.
I don't get bored There's nothing boring about this.
Speaking from the East Room of the White House, President Trump said he will wage this war until the U.S. destroys Iran's missile program, terminates its nuclear ambitions, and annihilates Iran's navy.
We've knocked out already 10 ships. They're at the bottom of the sea.
How long will all that take? The timeline has evolved. On Saturday, Trump said he might end the strikes in 2 or 3 days. Today, he said the plan was always to attack for 4 to 5 weeks.
But we have capability to go far longer than that. We'll do it.
Trump has made no secret of his desire for regime change in Iran.
Take over your government. It will be yours to take.
But the question of who should lead Iran next has been trickier to answer. On Sunday, Trump told one news outlet he had 3 very good choices in mind. But then he told another outlet it's not going to be anybody that we were thinking of because they are all dead.
He has no strategy. He has no end game.
In a closed-door briefing this afternoon, lawmakers had questions for Secretary of State Marco Rubio about the timing and rationale for war.
This operation needed to happen because Iran in about a year or a year and a half would cross the line of immunity, meaning they would have so many short-range missiles, so many drones, that no one could do anything about it.
Both Rubio and the president warned today that the fiercest bombing hasn't even started yet. Rubio said the next phase will be even more punishing for Iran's military and its leadership. Tony?
Nancy, thank you very much. We turn now to the possible terror attack in Austin, Texas. Investigators say it may be linked to this war in Iran. The shooting killed 2 people and wounded 14 others outside a bar early Sunday morning. CBS News correspondent Jason Allen is there.
The gunman firing bullets into a crowd at an Austin bar Sunday morning was wearing an undershirt with a design similar to an Iranian flag on it, seen here in a photo first obtained by CBS News. Investigators believe the shooter, identified as Indiaga Diagne, acted alone, but they are scrutinizing video, his digital footprint, and contacts to see if anyone pushed him to attack.
Had your agency or any agency identified him as a potential concern or a threat before this?
We have not at the Austin Police Department, no.
Austin police identified the 2 people killed as 19-year-old Ryder Harrington and 21-year-old Savitha Shawn. The police chief said a 3rd person would be taken off life support sometime today.
All of it's still kind of hitting me at one point, and it's hard not to feel somewhat responsible that I couldn't get to him on time.
Kelson Lee said that 3rd person is a coworker and friend who moved to Austin 2 weeks ago. In the chaos of the shooting, Lee said he ran back to the bar to find him.
I've never seen so much worry on people's eyes before. It's really unfortunate that people came there for a good reason and those lives got taken away so fast. And it's more unfortunate that one of them was my friend.
Police said the shooter legally purchased the guns that he used. Investigators are poring over mountains of evidence, while a law enforcement source does tell CBS News it appears that the war did fuel this attack, at least in part. Tony?
Jason, thank you very much. Also breaking tonight, newly released video of Bill and Hillary Clinton answering questions for hours about the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Here's CBS News congressional correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns.
In Friday's deposition, former President Bill Clinton said he had no idea about Jeffrey Epstein's crimes.
Were there anybody on the flights that you can recall under age 18?
To the best of my knowledge, there was not.
The former president traveled on Epstein's plane around a dozen times, he says, for philanthropic work. Clinton is featured prominently in the Epstein files.
Did you witness anything unusual with Epstein that would lead you to believe that Epstein was creepy?
No, I never saw him do anything that I was suspicious of.
Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton testified on Thursday, repeatedly denying any connection to the convicted sex offender.
I have answered for many hours now that I had no relationship because I never met the guy to my best recollection.
Hillary Clinton was also asked questions she considered off topic, including one about Pizzagate, a debunked conspiracy theory involving a child sex trafficking ring at a Washington restaurant.
I expected a lot of interesting questions today, but Pizzagate was not on my list.
Now, Bill Clinton was also asked about Epstein apparently visiting the White House 16 times while he was president. He said he had no memory of it and didn't know who Epstein was meeting with while there. Democrats, meanwhile, are calling on President Trump to testify to the committee. Tony?
Caitlin, thank you very much. Still ahead, what will the war with Iran do to gas prices at home? Next. We're back now from Amman, Jordan. Oil prices rose by about 7% today, and gasoline prices surely will follow. Money Watch correspondent Kelly O'Grady is here to explain what the war with Iran could mean for your wallet. Kelly?
Tony, pain at the pump could be one major way Americans feel this war at home, and that stems from rising oil prices. Remember, oil is traded on the open market. When supply goes down, prices go up. Two primary ways that supply is being affected: the transportation and the production of oil. On the transport side, traffic through the Strait of Hormuz has ground to a halt. The narrow choke point sees 20% of the world's oil and natural gas supply pass through every year. Already, Iran is targeting ships, and some companies are choosing to avoid the strait altogether. Now, energy infrastructure in the region is also being targeted. An oil refinery in Saudi Arabia was struck. Qatar is pausing its natural gas production, and sources are telling us fields across the Middle East are shut down. Now, in an extreme scenario, oil could reach above $100 per barrel, but consumers wouldn't see an impact overnight. For every $1 increase in oil prices, that translates to roughly 2.5 cents at the pump. It's a slow creep. And it's not just gas prices, but inflation overall that's a concern. Why? Trucks run on diesel, and when those prices go up, so does everything we buy. The situation is dynamic, though, and prices could drop just as quickly as they rise. Tony?
All right, Kelly, thank you very much. Ahead, an emergency evacuation for United Airlines flight. Frightening moments for those on board a United flight that made an emergency landing after one of its engines caught fire. CBS News senior transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve has more. Chris?
The issue started shortly after taking off from Los Angeles, heading for Newark. With 268 passengers on board, pilots got an alert about a possible engine fire.
We're getting fire indications still, so we're going to evacuate United 2127.
Dramatic cell phone video from onboard United Flight 2127 shows passengers heading for the emergency exits and down the evacuation slides. Moments earlier, the Boeing 787 returned to LAX with that engine issue. As passengers scrambled for safety, airport fire crews moved in, dousing the smoking left engine. The emergency closed one of the airport's runways for about 2 hours. The FAA is investigating. United says there are no reports of any serious injuries. Tony?
Chris, thank you. Ahead, when did this war with Iran actually start?
This portion of the CBS Evening News is sponsored by Freshpet. It's not dog food, it's food.
If you're looking for an origin point of this current war, don't look to the earliest hours of this Saturday. Look back to November 4th, 1979. That was the day Iranian revolutionaries stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, capturing 52 Americans and parading them in blindfolds for the whole world to see.
A new and daring element was disclosed today in the Iran crisis, which has held world attention.
For the next 444 days, they were held captive, the tally kept nightly by Walter Cronkite. Finally, the hostages were released, but that wasn't the end of the story. In 1983, 241 U.S. service members were killed in their barracks by an Iran-backed suicide bomber in Beirut. Americans can argue whether this is a war of necessity, but what's clear from the history is that the fuse of this explosion is 50 years long and has included the loss of thousands of American and Iranian lives. Every president since Jimmy Carter has tried to end this conflict. In 2015, President Barack Obama announced a deal to stall Iran's nuclear ambitions, a deal that President Trump replaced with a campaign of maximum pressure and now military might.
Today, the United States military continues to carry out large-scale combat operations in Iran to eliminate the grave threats posed to America by this terrible terrorist regime.
That history is why the president's allies in Congress say he hasn't started a war with Iran, he's finishing one. That's another day in America and the world. I'm Tony DeCopel. Good night.